I had a giant ego and zero self-esteem at the exact same time. If you ever felt like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Alan here, 5 minutes of recovery. And today I want to talk about step seven. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. One word in that step used to stop me cold, humbly, because I didn't know what humility actually was. I had two speeds: arrogance, where I was the smartest guy in the room and nobody could tell me anything, and shame, where I was the most broken, most hopeless, most worthless person alive. I bounced between those two my whole life. Neither one of them is humility, not even close. Here's what I had to learn: humility isn't thinking less of yourself, humility is seeing yourself right sized. No bigger than you are, no smaller than you are, exactly where you are. I had to do two things at the same time that felt completely opposite. I had to shrink my ego and I had to build my self worth, both at the same time, because one without the other doesn't work. If you shrink the ego without building self worth, you just collapse into shame. If you build self worth without shrinking the ego, you get arrogance with a spirituality vocabulary. I've seen both, I've been both. The work is doing both together. So, how did I shrink the ego? By getting honest about who I actually was. Not the image I was projecting, not the person I wanted people to think I was, who I actually was. The guys I was studying would help me see that. You can't see your own blind spots. That's why they're called blind spots. You need other people. And every time I let someone see the real me and they didn't run, the ego got a little smaller because the ego lives on secrecy. It needs you to keep performing. The moment you stop hiding, it starts to shrink. And how did I build self worth? By doing the next right thing over and over and over again, even when no one was watching, especially when no one was watching. I started keeping promises to myself, small ones at first. I said I was going to do something, I did it. I said I wasn't going to do something, I didn't. And slowly I started to trust myself. And when you trust yourself, self worth isn't something you have to chase, it builds on its own. Now, here's how step seven ties it all together. When I humbly asked God to remove my shortcomings, I wasn't groveling, I wasn't beating myself up, I wasn't coming from shame. I was coming from an honest place. I see these shortcomings clearly, and I know I can't remove them on my own. I've done what I could do. I've practiced the opposite. I've gotten willing. Now I'm asking you to do what you could do. That's humility. That's the ask. And what came back was freedom. Not all at once. None of this stuff happens immediately, but piece by piece. I started to become what they describe in the rooms as a man among men, a worker among workers. Not better than, not less than, just here, doing the work, living the life. And that felt like something I never felt before. It felt like belonging, not because I earned it, not because I performed it, but because I finally stopped pretending and started just being. That's what step seven gave me. If you're working on this step, don't just say the words and move on. Sit with the word humbly. Ask yourself, am I seeing myself right sized? Not too big, not too small? Because when you can see yourself clearly, you can ask clearly. And when you can ask clearly, Source can actually answer. Remember, guys, recovery is just the beginning. It's a journey, and we do it one day at a time. Thanks. See you in the next one.